Assalamualaikum everyone. Before that, I would like to introduce our...
Hi, my name is Shamil.
My name is Yuanti.
And I'm Wani. So today, we would like to share with you regarding India and RTA.
Let's go to Shamil.
So today I'm gonna be talking about regional trade agreement. Before we proceed in regional trade agreement, let's focus on trade itself. Now, trade is basically the exchange of commodities for a benefit, the buying and selling of goods and services. It's quite straightforward, right? So now let's focus on what RTA actually is. RTA is considered a set of treaties which allow states to trade with each other on mutually beneficial terms. We need to say that anybody who are bound by RTA receive equal benefit among the members. Now, what are the purpose of RTA? We know that in most countries, in every state, there are certain rules and regulations when it comes to trading, which could be very complex to deal with. In order to solve this particular issue, RTA is established in order to unite all these countries, to unite all these states, in order for them to actually establish one set of rule and regulation in which that could actually benefit all parties. Regional trade agreement gives signatory state access to better terms of trade as compared to other states who are not party to the agreement. We need to say that RTA can actually give benefits to its member as compared to the one who are not actually bound by RTA. Regulation on trades are vital since they have in the past been used as an instrument of war, which is, for example, economic warfare, right? An example of economic warfare we can actually see between the United States of America and Cuba. So basically, Cuba claimed that the oil that America have is actually the Cuban oil. Then they did not actually compensate that oil, in which that time it was under the president of Fidel Castro. So as a response, the US actually halted all export from Cuba and placed restriction against its industry from engaging in trade with Cuba, right? So basically this is considered one of the example of trade economic war between United States and Cuba. The most favored nation obligation allows RTA to give favorable treatments to signatory as according to GATT's Article 1, Paragraph 2. The General Agreement of Tariffs and Trades, also known as GATT, prohibits preferential treatment to products based on the fact that they emit from different states. It requires states to apply the most favorable relation placed on product to all other similar products. GATT's Article 1, Paragraph 1. RTA allows for protection of domestic industry improvement in terms of trades and assistance in maintenance of control over the regional economy. So under RTA, the economy is actually being protected. Through RTA, states are able to negotiate rules and commitments for service, intellectual property, environment protection, investment, and competition policy. So basically under RTA, everything is actually protected, especially the one which is bound by which is focus more on economy. To get the most out of RTA, the public needs to be consulted and ensure that their concerns are reflected in drafting and ratification, since various states have different issues and areas of concern which the agreement seeks to streamline. So basically through RTA they can actually establish a consultation in which everything can actually be standardized among the members who are actually bound by it, in order to seek an agreement, to establish an agreement which could actually benefit all the parties, right? Alright, so basically that is what you need to know in regards to regional trade agreement. So probably you're wondering, what is basically the relationship between RTA and India, right? It's considered quite a reasonable question because India is not part of any regional organization. So when they are not part by any regional organization, obviously they're not going to be part of any regional trade agreement. When they are not part of any regional trade agreement, in a way they are not directly affected by it. However, indirectly speaking, India is considered quite affected by it, in a way that India trades operate through multilateralism type of economy, right? So instead of dealing through regional organization, they deal with that particular states directly. Like for example, when ASEAN established a regional trade agreement among its members, they would rather much prefer to trade among its own member because they have a certain special benefits by actually trading with one another within that particular region, as compared to trading with India, because in ASEAN they have free trade, they have less trade barriers and other form of special treatments, right, as compared to dealing with India. So obviously they're gonna opt for trading with the member of ASEAN rather than being trading with India. However, probably you're wondering, oh, this is going to actually affect them hard because they're losing their trade partners, right? So how does India cope with this particular problem? Video, the video will actually explain in regards to how India cope with this RTA through free trade. Let's see.
Thank you, Shamil. Free Trade Agreement. India stands for a transparent, equitable, inclusive, predictable, non-discriminatory, and rule-based international trading system. In this context, India Free Trade Agreements (FTAs) and Preferential Trade Agreement (PTAs) may be seen as a measured and calibrated exposure of the Indian economy to international competition. Here I will explain to you some details about FTAs. What are FTAs? FTAs are established as a fair set of rules for trade between the agreeing countries. They provide each other favorable treatment by reducing trade barriers. Firstly, they cut down the duties on inputs of goods to the and from the agreeing countries. Besides, they also work on easing out non-tariff barriers to export, like easing quantitative import restriction, easing custom procedures, improving market access for service exports, and better investment rules. Why do countries sign FTAs? FTAs help in trade creation and economic growth. They are also a diplomatic tool for improving international relations. How does it affect India exporters and importers? If India has a FTA with the trading countries and if the goods being traded is covered by the tariff reduction under the FTA, then the importer or exporter has to pay a reduced import duty and not the standard duty that is applied to other countries. Here is an example. The Asian countries impose an import duty of 20% on leather goods. However, under India ASEAN FTAs, the duties for India is 0%. This means an Indian leather exporters like Niku can sell its goods to Asian countries in a 20% price advantage. What are the different nomenclature for FTAs? FTAs agreements are known by various nomenclatures such as Preferential Trade Agreement (PTA), Free Trade Agreement (FTA), Regional Trade Agreement (RTAs), Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement (CECA), Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement (CEPA), and Broad-Based Trade and Investment Agreement (BTIA). The difference among them isn't their coverage. CECA, CPA, BTI, a covered and integrated package of agreement on goods, services, investment, and intellectual properties, etc. While the more traditional FTAs are limited to trade in goods only. Which are the countries with which India has a free trade agreement? As of 2017, India has signed 10 FTAs and 6 limited preferential trade agreements, that is PTAs. The list of PTAs that have been signed by India are India-Sri Lanka FTA SAFTA, Agreement on South Asia Free Trade Area. The 7 member countries are India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, and Maldives. India-Nepal Treaty of Trade, India-Bhutan Agreement on Trade, Commerce and Transit, India-Thailand FTA, early have a scheme that is EHS, India-Singapore CACA, India-Asian FTA. Asian countries include 10 of the Southeast Asian countries, that is Vietnam, Thailand, Singapore, Cambodia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Laos, and Brunei. India, South Korea, CPA, India-Japan CEPA, India-Malaysia CCA. The list of preferential trade agreement, that is PTA, signed by India are APTA, that is Asia Pacific Trade Agreement members. Exchanging concession are India, China, South Korea, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. GSTP Global System of Trade Preference under WTO. This is open to all the members countries under the Group of 77 under WTO. India, Afghanistan PTA, India, Mercosur RPTA, India, Chile PTA, SAFTA Trade Agreement, SATIS SAARC Agreement of Trade in Services. What documents are required to avail duty concession under these India trade FTAs? To take the advantage of the tariff benefit given under the FTA, the India exporter like Niku has to prove that her goods are made in India as per the rules of origin under the agreement of FTA. This was proven by a document called the Preferential Certificate of Origin. The list of agencies in India Niku can approach for such a certificate of origin is listed under Appendix 2B of the Foreign Trade Policy. However, in case of India importers, the certificate of origin would be issued by the correspondent agencies in the seller's countries. Back to Wani.
Okay, thank you Yuanti and Shamil for the explanations. And that's all about India and RTAs. In other words, India has a very minimal impact on establishment of RTAs. This shows the durability of India economy and becoming the fear of the world. So that's all for now and see you next time. Bye. Assalamualaikum.